guys, and welcome back to King's Aquariums and Ant World. Today we're going to be talking about honeydew, ants and honeydew. When ants live in the wild, they farm aphids, which are those little, you normally see them on little like tomato plants or certain wildflowers and stuff. And the ants will farm them a bit like how we farm cows and look after cows. Ants will look after aphids, and they'll protect them from any predators and stuff like that, like ladybirds and stuff. Ants will look after them so that they can make sure they stay safe and everything. And then what they do is aphids, they live on the the sap and stuff in plants. They suck it out of the plants, and then plants usually end up dying. And then they secrete out of their bottoms honeydew, which is really, really sweet and full of sugar, which is what gives ants so much energy. Ants normally will look after them and that, and then when in return for looking after the aphids, they will be able to drink the honeydew, and they touch their antenna to the honeydew's back end, and they'll secrete the honeydew for the ant to drink, and then the ants can go back and obviously share it out throughout the colony from their social stomachs. And then some ants will farm root aphids, which live underground, and they'll farm them within their ant nest, and during winter they'll keep them safe in the ant nest as well. And the same premise, the aphids will drink the honeydew out from the aphids' bottoms, and the aphids will drink the sap and stuff from obviously the roots of the plants, and then the ants can then obviously have the honeydew out of them and stuff, which is cool. And then sometimes during winter, ants will eat some of the aphids as a sort of protein, obviously to keep the colony going while they're in hibernation. In captivity, obviously it's very difficult, because unless you do a proper naturalised setup in quite a big tank and everything, you could probably put some aphids in there for the ants to farm and look after, but then obviously you've got to think of population control of the aphids. So it can be a bit more difficult. So we tend to do honey water or sugar water, some people do. Well, the fire ants have a test tube now, and that's full of honey water, and obviously I'll replace it as it starts to go bad and stuff, because you don't want mould. And my ants in particular, all my ants seem to work fine with about per 25 ml of water, about 3/4 teaspoon of honey, all mixed in. And then they prefer that sort of thing, and that they drink that, and that's basically their equivalent of honeydew. You kind of have to play around a bit and see what your ants like the best. I mean, that's just the sort of quantities my ants like, but some ant people find they like a bit less honey in it, a bit more honey in it. I find if you put too much honey in, the water can become quite sticky, and then your ants get stuck in it, which isn't really the best situation for them to be in. You just have to kind of play around a bit and find out what works best for your ants, really. That's about all we can say there. Some people prefer to do sugar water, so they mix a certain amount of sugar into their water. My ants prefer honey. They didn't really like sugar. But again, you just have to see what they like best, and that's where they get all that energy from. You know, ants are famous for being so full of energy and always running around and stuff, so they do need the honeydew, and they need a source of it all the time. So you just have to make sure that they get it. I'm just filming my fire ants colony at the minute, because they're still really active at the minute. They're not really hibernating yet, so I am still feeding them at the minute and everything. I don't know why they're not hibernating, but they're not. They seem quite happy to still be running around and everything. So yeah, you just have to play around a bit and see how they get on. And yeah, you just, honey water or sugar water is just whatever works for you and for your ants. One bottle of honey will last you absolutely ages for your ants. So, you know, I mean, I've had the same bottle of honey since the summer and I've still got loads left. So, you know, or same with sugar, it just depends. And you just have to play around with the amounts until your ants decide they like it. So, yeah, I mean, they love their honeydew. That's what they'd have in the wild. You got to try and recreate their diet really as close to how they'd be in the wild as you can. So, but the next video in the ant series is going to be talking to you about protein and why ants need protein and why it's so important for them. Thank you very much for watching. Bye.